In 2016, a Moz survey of over 400 businesses found that 30% focused at least half of their SEO work just on building links. So, in a world where building links is becoming ever more crucial, hiring the right person to do it is essential. Today's video is going to be about questions you should be asking when hiring a link builder. Whether you're hiring an SEO agency or a freelancer, you'll need to properly vet them and their link building techniques, just as you would when outsourcing any aspect of your business. It's especially important in SEO because it does tend to have quite a bad rep, and in some cases it can be hard to measure or understand exactly what it is you're getting for your money. I've been there myself and I know what it's like. So when it comes to something like link building, it might seem pretty straightforward, as in how many links are you getting and how much does it cost you, but it's not quite as simple as that, and there's still plenty of other questions that have to be asked, and these are just some of the most important ones that should come to mind. You want to assess how they know where to get links from. You may get a very simple answer, but as long as it's a sound way of making the assessment using search engine operators, if they're analysing competitors, link profiles, something like that. But you want to find out exactly how they're building the lists of sites where they're trying to get a link for you. If the lists are pre-built, that is a warning sign, and it could be a sign that they're buying links or they have some kind of link network, so you do need to ask questions about that. Do they employ manual outreach? I'm not saying that an automated email outreach system doesn't work. However, in order to gain the best quality links possible and to get the most value for money, there does need to be some manual input from an actual human being at some point. They will need to make some kind of personal connection with the decision maker on the other end, and there isn't any amount of sophisticated tools or software out there which is going to automate a truly white hat link building solution. Are the links going to be unique links, and are they going to be in the body of the content? First of all, the links should generally be coming from unique referring domains, because if you continually get links from the same domains, it just won't have the same effect. For instance, getting 10 links from 10 different websites is better than having 10 links from 3 different sites. It's just not going to have the same kind of link juice effect. It's the same reason why you can't outperform a competitor purely just with the volume of links. Also, when it comes to the body of the content, that generally tends to hold more weight than having a link on the sidebar or on the footer, just the way that it is. Also, are the links relevant? Relevancy has to be the key point at the forefront of any link building campaign, both so that it ranks for the correct keywords and drives relevant traffic, and many in the industry do employ the use of metrics to assess ranking ability of a site. For example, domain authority, trust flow, or whatever it is. And they'll use this to assess if they try to get you a link on that site. But all of that is pretty meaningless if the site or the page where you get the link is not relevant in any way. And if it's not relevant, then that begs the question, how exactly did they get it placed and why? What kind of link types are they going to be aiming for? There are a huge variety of link types that you can go for, and depending on your industry, your service or product and your content, that will determine which one is best for your business. So if they're aiming to get you guest post opportunities, be aware that it will require you to have articles written for each guest post. If it's a product-based business, then they may try and get you some review posts with industry influencers. That may mean having to send your product or product samples, or having to pay the influencer's fee, for instance. Are they going to help you with content or content ideation? This is a key point, and in fact, the link builder themselves, they should bring up the topic of content. And if not, I'd probably wonder how it is they actually expect to build links. It's a pretty huge part of link building, and like myself, the vast majority will probably not create all the content for you, but they could and probably should help you come up with ideas for the type of content you should be creating in order to further your chances of getting the best links. Having said that, if you're an expert in your own field and you know your customer base inside out, you are probably best placed to know the type of content you need but it would be prudent not to consult with a link builder who is on top of the game and kind of bounce ideas around on the type of content that you should be creating in terms of the type of topics you should be discussing, and then the format that it should take will come later in the process. Also, how are you going to know what work is being done? In what way can you assess it? This is precisely why a lot of people are turned off by any kind of SEO work, because they don't know exactly what is being done. At least with link building, there isn't really any reason why it can't be fully transparent. You'll probably want to see a list of the kind of websites the team or the freelancer is reaching out to, which look promising, and if there's any guest posts which have been agreed. And also, most importantly, you want to see links going live. They will probably provide some kind of report at the end of the month, or they will just let you know as it progresses. Also, how many links do they expect during their campaign? You want to kind of get a handle on that. It's probably one of the first questions you'll have in mind, but there is a warning attached to this. If you're going through a list of link builders and someone guarantees you a larger number than somebody else, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should go with them. In fact, offering a 100% guarantee in the number of links, especially if it's a pretty high number, should probably be viewed with caution, because it's not a straightforward commodity. It's all dependent on the content that you have, your industry, and how the targets react to the content, which determine how many links you'll get. How well the link builder performs in their outreach is also key, but no matter how good the link builder is, they can't extract any number of links from bad content. So the link builder is going to have to bear this in mind when asked this type of question. Having said that, a reasonable guarantee of, say, between 5 and 10 links for a campaign, depending on how many they're outreaching to, is sensible, because even if they're not able to guarantee they can hit the quota with resource links, with direct links, they could still get you some guest post spots. But of course, you'll then need to write the articles or get the content written in order to get those links. Do they utilise paid links? This is a pretty controversial one and much often disputed, but I'll lay out my philosophy. Yes, inherently it is against Google's terms of services, and I would say any service or facility online which just sells links without discrimination to anyone and anywhere, or they advertise the fact openly, is pretty much a no-go area with regards to white hat link building. If they just link out to anyone who gives them money and don't assess the content or the value of what they're offering, then that probably means you'll be sharing the same link space as some spammy and questionable sites, and it won't bode well for you in the future, or there's a risk that it won't bode well for you. However, in the instance where you've manually reached out to somebody and talked to, for instance, the editor or the owner of the site, and after they've assessed your content or guest post, they've agreed to link out to you, but only after a sponsored post fee or product sample or some other exchange like that, I wouldn't tar that with the same brush. In some industries, it is just a necessary part of getting links, and there may not be much scope for getting free links. I know in the gambling sector this happens a lot, but the right link builder should be happy to discuss this particular area in advance with you, so you can make an informed decision about whether you want to use paid links or not. And this is a really key one. Are there any risks or guarantees from their work? Now, needless to say, if all the previous questions hit the right notes, there shouldn't be any reason not to go ahead and hire them, but you really do want to clarify with them if they personally think any of the work could put you at risk. And if there does seem to be some inherent risk, alarm bells should be ringing. Similarly, if there are any guarantees, whether there's a guarantee of a minimum amount of traffic increase, a number of links, etc., these kind of things. However, bear in mind factors such as a traffic increase and especially sales can be hard to predict. So don't be surprised if you struggle to find a link builder who can guarantee those things. Remember, there's so many other factors you have to consider that affect sales or revenue, such as on-page conversion rate, how well your team can close sales, things like that. So that is all for this video today. I hope that I answered some questions for you, or gave you some questions to answer rather. And I would love to hear from you if you guys have any thoughts. Thanks for taking the time out to watch this video. If you want to continue watching them and want me to keep making more of these, please subscribe to my YouTube channel.